Now I'm going to put our race clutch in. The car is literally undrivable. I already had to be towed back home. In the last episode on my track car, we fully restored the rear subframe, and now we need to 6-speed swap my E46 since its prop shaft is no longer combining the front with the rear. And because swapping gearboxes is not a lot of fun, I needed a bit of extra motivation in form of a lightweight flywheel, only 5.7 kilograms. We'll also be switching to a fancy sinter metal ceramic clutch with a sprung hub. This one is rated for 700 Newton meters, and that in combination with the ZF Performance pressure plate, which we'll also be installing. I only hope the car is not going to be too hard to drive with all these upgrades. Future me here. The car is literally undrivable. I'm gonna make a video on it because it is insane. The clutch is like an on-off switch. It is literally crazy. And before putting this big boy in, well, we first need to get the old one out. And since I don't have any lift, any fancy equipment, nothing, just basic tools, I'm gonna do all of that on the floor. Now we are going to start at the front with removing the reinforcement plate. We can start removing all the bolts. Unfortunately, there's not that many bolts I can get to on the easy. This one's gonna be easy, this one, and this one. But there's 2 more bolts for the starter, 1 more for the bell housing right here, and another 2 for the bell housing on top. The ones on top, impossible to get to. The only way I can get to them is to drop the crossmember and then actually bend the transmission down, which is what I'm gonna do. But for now, I'm just gonna remove these since these are a lot easier. Okay, now I have the cross brace supported, or almost supported, because my jack is not going up high enough. So yeah, I hope it doesn't fall onto my head, but I just have to manage like this. So I'll have to hold it up with one hand and undo the bolts with the other, so I don't destroy the threads. And now I have to hold up. Yay, I got it in without destroying everything. Now it's supported on my jack. Really nice. And now I can get to the other bolts already a lot easier. So, guess I'll do that now. Okay, first starter bolt is out. Landed right into my face. Great. But we got it out. Also, don't forget, underneath the headers, there's a small 10mm that's hidden. Now is going to be the difficult part, because I actually need to maneuver it to the back of the car and then also keep it upright with my feet and hands. So yeah, I hope I don't die. Get it on my knees. Remove the jack. The issue is now that the whole contraption, nice, was hanging right here on the actual shifter mechanism. So now I can take it out. Whew. Yay! I got it out. Ow, there's a bolt. Putting the new one in is going to be a lot more difficult because it's a lot heavier. As you can see, this is the old gearbox, and just putting them side by side, this one is a lot shorter than this one. Obviously, there's another gear, there's another shaft. It's rated way higher than the other one. We are going to remove our clutch and flywheel combo. This thing is literally new. I've put that in when we replaced the engine. Now it has got to go. I'll probably use it on my brother's car or something. I don't know yet. Now I can take everything out without dropping onto my head. Pressure plate. Don't breathe in the clutch material. I can't undo them, it's too tight. And I have no tools to block the flywheel. Great. I'm going to put the bolt right here. This is a spare one. I just hope I don't break the block. And now I'm going to try to counter hold with a screwdriver. Oh, this works pretty damn well. Just using tools is probably easier. Thing is also heavy. Everything is nice and dry since when rebuilding the engine I used a new seal. Very nice. Okay, I just checked and we have to use their provided shorter bolts. Since the flywheel has less height, use Loctite on these. There's one bolt hole slightly bigger for the dimple on the crank. Nice, first bolt is halfway in. Torque on these bad boys is 105 Newton meters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bolts, all torqued down. Now I'm just taking all the bolts out for the pressure plate, and then I'm going to give the whole thing a good clean so that we don't have oils on the surface. Now I'm going to put our race clutch in. Unfortunately, I had to use tape around the clutch centering tool because my universal one didn't hold the weight. So yeah, that wasn't too good. This one should be fine though. It is a lot more sturdy. And now the ridiculously expensive ZX Performance pressure plate. If I would have paid full price for this, it would have cost as much as the flywheel and the clutch combined. Unacceptable. I'm also going to put some thread locker on these bolts. I really don't want to do this again, so that's the whole reasoning behind that. Now I have to put all of these bolts in, and just then I can start threading them down so the pressure plate goes down evenly. And yeah, only then I can torque them. So I'll have to hurry up because of the thread locker. Comparing these two gearboxes side by side, well, it definitely proves that this gearbox means business. Torque for these is 21 Newton meters. When I bought this gearbox, the shifter linkage was missing. Also, the carrier for the shifter was missing. So I had to come up with a solution. Because OEM parts are really expensive and I was missing this piece, the linkage and the holder. I decided to buy the linkage new because I got the linkage with this piece which just mounts on here, and there's a bushing inside which causes play when the car gets old. And the carrier itself is quite expensive, and then I would have to pick up upgraded bushings for both sides on the front and the rear polyurethane carrier, and that was going to be even more expensive. So I bought a chassis mounted shifter. There's just a spring clip which I just removed using pliers and a pin in the piece which you can just push out. That one's out. Now I just have to find it. It doesn't pick up well on camera. The bushing has hardened because of the oil and heat over 25 years, and it's crumpled to plastic, and now there's no bushing left on the inside. So glad we're doing this. Some mandatory cleaning, and now the new piece which I have to compress to get the pin in. It's a lot more difficult to install than taking the old one out. The pin is in, and now I can just slide the clip over. Yeah, this is gonna feel really nice. I just got some help from my brother and we installed this because I was holding it from the bottom and he was putting the first 4 bolts in, because this thing is perfectly centered and there's already a ledge around it stock, so you just have to put the first few bolts in and then the thing can't go anywhere, and you don't have to drill a single hole, which is really nice. So as soon as you have 2 screws or so, like more or less tight, this thing becomes immovable, and that is really sturdy. And this is how it looks like under the car. This thing is so firm into place and I didn't have to cut anything. That's a good design product. And now we can install the gearbox. I'll give you guys a quick step back while I install this gearbox, because yeah, I need a lot more space than to take the old one out. It's almost double the weight of the old one, so it's going to be tricky. I think I got it in. Why do I always look for trouble like this? There is a small little roadblock I just encountered, and don't get me wrong, it's nothing major, but at the same time it's kind of a lot of work to fix it. You see, I've already managed to get the wheels spinning, I've hooked the driveline up, everything works. I can get into some of the gears, but it's not transmission related. That's the issue. If I'm not mistaken, all BMW 6-cylinders are not mounted straight, but at an inclination angle for multiple reasons, won't get into that. There's a few different 6-speed gearboxes on the e46, 37 version and a 57 version. On the 330i's they had a GS6-53DZ, which is for benzene, and there's also a DZ version which was used in 320s and so on. And the diesel engines are mounted at 20 degrees, and the petrol engines are mounted at 30 degrees. So the gearbox sits tilted about 10 degrees more than it should. This is the mounting crossmember, and as a consequence of the gearbox sitting tilted, this also sits tilted 10 degrees. So I have to really push it into place for it to align with the bolt holes, and it physically works, but pretty much all the weight of the gearbox is sitting on this thing. So we have to design and build a custom crossmember for the gearbox. And us going with a chassis mounted shifter, we also need to adapt the shifter linkage, because this one is also sitting crooked. So if it sits crooked, we have to bend this piece down, because right now the shifter is kind of in a really shit position. When I'm on the neutral position on the gearbox, the shifter literally sits right there, in like where usually the fifth gear would be. First gear works, second gear works, third gear works, fourth gear works. Sixth gear is like somewhat of a gamble, but reverse and fifth don't work, and I wouldn't care too much about the fifth one. Yeah, this kind of defeats the whole purpose of installing a 6-speed gearbox if you don't have access to all the gears, so we need to fix it. And if you're asking yourself, well, why is this dumbass installing a diesel gearbox on a petrol car? Well, the main reason why I wanted to install a diesel gearbox is, well, a lot stronger, and the second main reason is gearing. I'll post the gear ratios right here, and on the diesel gearbox the first few gears, mainly first and second, are a lot shorter than on the petrol counterparts, and since we've elongated the diff from a 3.38 to a 2.81 diff, well, the rear end is a lot longer and takeoff will be a lot harder. So a shorter ratio on the first two gears is gonna ease takeoff at red lights tremendously, because like, I don't have the exact numbers in my head, but it's like 5 something to 4 something, so it's pretty much one whole rotation different. So the gear ratio is offset by 1, which is a lot. Although this piece is not going to win a beauty contest, it definitely is functional, even though severely ugly. It's not beautiful, but I got good penetration on all of them. I could see by the side before welding the side through. From both sides I managed to get half through, so this thing is fully welded, and this being 6mm thick steel, that's definitely functional. The piece I've made uses the stock transmission mounts and the stock bolt hole location that we also had on the previous piece, but yeah, it just works. This is the part where I wanted to show the extreme flywheel chatter that this car now has, but it kind of took a different turn. Yesterday I was driving and I already had to be towed back home. Yeah. I was testing the car, it drives incredibly well, everything is nice, but when I was testing it on the highway, I drove a bit faster than usual, and yeah, because of the upgraded radiator being thicker and the wind pushing everything a bit back, the hydraulic pump pulley ate my coolant reservoir, so the car is no longer drivable. We'll fix this little roadblock in the next episode. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.